What up, y'all? It's PBJ back at it again with another video. So, with the comment you just read, it asks, what do beginning or first-time arm wrestlers do? Any tips? First of all, I just want to shout out EM Productions for leaving that comment. I always appreciate it when anybody leaves a comment, really, especially ones requesting any type of videos, because it just shows me that y'all want to see more. So thank you very much for the comment. Now, before we get started, I got to keep it real with y'all, okay? You already know that I'm always gonna, tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So let's get this set up here and let you know what's going on with this, okay? So, when it comes to arm wrestling specifically, okay, I'm going to warn you, it comes with a lot of pain. Now, when I say it comes with a lot of pain, you might think, oh, any sport comes with a lot of pain. Well, let me tell you something. Arm wrestling specific pain is some of the worst pain you're ever going to experience in your life. So let me give you this as like a warning for all first-time beginning arm wrestlers before you continue watching this video, okay? My first tip to all of you is going to be love arm wrestling. You have to absolutely love it if you want to pursue it, become elite, become great, win tournaments. You have to love it, okay? It's like that saying, the man who loves walking is going to walk farther than the man who loves the destination. So keep this in mind, okay? Now, right now you might be like, oh, I'm not going to experience that pain. I feel fine when I arm wrestle. Well, one day you're going to arm wrestle. It's going to be a bit tougher than you expected. And you're going to wake up the next morning and have some surreal amounts of pain that you've never experienced. It could maybe be some elbow pain. There's always a vein popping in my elbow. I literally have no pump right now, but y'all already know I've been through some deep waters with arm wrestling pain, okay? So keep this in mind before we continue, that I want you to think of arm wrestling as a long game, okay? I don't want you to think short term, I'm going to start winning tournaments right this second, because if you're a beginner, it's not happening. Unless you have 1 in a million genetics, or you're starting after you've already done some of these tips I'm about to tell you. When I think of a beginner arm wrestler, I think of, somebody that's rather skinny, or somebody that's maybe been in the gym for a little bit, and maybe they got beat in arm wrestling, maybe by someone bigger, maybe by someone smaller than them. And perhaps they were like, how is this person beating me? This is actually pretty interesting. Let me get involved with the sport. So, with all that being said, let's get to the tips. So obviously, 1, gotta love arm wrestling, okay? For 2, think of it as a long game. What I want you to do, first of all, if you do not have any kind of base strength, let's say you don't go to the gym, you don't do anything like that, you absolutely require base strength. Now let me tell you why. For every technique that you use in arm wrestling, it's gonna use a variety of different muscles. So for instance, if I'm gonna go in, for a hook, they would call this an inside move, okay? Basically, I'm going to be using, bicep and my forearm, of course, but also my shoulder, my pec, even my tricep. If I come down for a press, or even if I'm just holding it in that kind of a position, I need those muscles to be strong, because the bigger they are, the more force they can possibly execute, if I don't trip over my words, the more force that they can exert. That's where I was exert. Basically, the bigger the muscle, the more force potential. So bigger muscles equals better arm wrestler once you know how to use it. Because you'll see these skinny guys beating these big guys in arm wrestling. You're like, what is happening here? This guy, when Schoolboy originally went against Larry Wheels, if any of y'all saw that match, Larry Wheels is this powerlifting guy, made all these big numbers in the gym, and Schoolboy's just this arm wrestler, and he was looking rather skinny in this video. And they go up against each other, and Schoolboy just wipes him. Absolutely demolishes him, didn't even try, right? And basically, the whole thing about it is, you were probably watching that video like, what? How is this even possible? Well, It is a combat sport, but it is also a strength sport. So what does that mean? It means that having strength in the right places is going to get you the farthest, but also having that base strength behind the strength in the right places. So any strength that you acquire, unless it's just like leg strength or something that has nothing to do with the arms, even then I could argue how that could benefit it, but any of it's really going to benefit you in arm wrestling. So get that base strength. So what I mean by that, for me at least, right? I would just arm wrestle. I did not work out. I would just arm wrestle only. And, I was pretty good. I have a naturally big hand. I had a naturally strong wrist. So I was doing pretty good. But whenever I got beat by other people, the defining factor was that base strength. So what did I do? I got my base strength up. I started doing calisthenics. So for me specifically, that was the way I enjoyed getting my base strength. Your pull-ups, your dips, your push-ups, different kind of exercises like that, all calisthenics. And that's what I've been doing up to this point. So get base strength. That means do regular exercises, okay? There's millions of tutorials on the internet. I just gave you some just now. Pull-ups, in my opinion, are the definitive exercise for arm wrestling. Variety of reasons. There's different grips. You can put fat grips on the handles, which makes it even more challenging. Always do a full range of motion. You want to keep those tendons healthy, and you want to be able to stretch out your arms all the way throughout your life. Mobility, and essentially the whole thing about it is like pull-ups. They use everything all at once in your upper body. And for me specifically, I do chin-ups with a thick bar and a false grip. So I don't grip the bar like this, I grip it like this. And it puts all the pressure right on my fingers and my lats and my biceps, everything I use in an arm wrestling match. And it pretty much mimics it like entirely. I just do my full range of motion until failure. And I pretty much do that whenever I can every day. I'll be working now, but whenever I can, I do my pull-ups. So get your base strength up, and with the different techniques that you do, it will help you greatly. So another thing. So the next tip. Think of arm wrestling, like I said earlier, kind of like touched on it earlier, but think of it as a long game, okay? If you ever have like a really hard arm wrestling match, now let's say you start feeling some pain. You may be feeling some pain right here in the brachialis region. And that is some of the worst pain you can feel, because arm wrestling is not a natural movement, okay? It's this weird sideways, kind of backwards, all around weird, unnatural movement. And in that unnatural movement, areas that, are pretty small are going to be experiencing overwhelming amounts of pressure, working along with the other muscles to complete the task of pinning your opponent. So rehabilitation and just conditioning your tendons is going to be key. Now, this is another thing with the pull-ups, right? I used pull-ups, every single day. Obviously, don't get injured doing that. For me personally, it didn't injure me, but I know some people, they kind of get tendonitis doing that kind of stuff. So be very careful. You can obviously switch that out. Maybe a barbell row can kind of mimic some of the same things, because that's a compound movement as well. And it uses all the different muscles. And, you can put some fat grips on a bar, whatever. And essentially, you're going to want to really condition your tendons. So for me at least, I just kept doing the same things pretty much every day, right? So keep doing those exercises and keep them going like every single day. Because at the beginning, it will only take a couple matches of arm wrestling for your tendons to just get absolutely fried. So you don't want that. Another thing I'm going to recommend immediately, okay? Elbow pain, right? So elbow pain is atrocious. It pretty much messes up every lift that you try to do in the gym that has to do with your arms, even the calisthenics I do. It messes up everything. So, you're probably going to feel it on the inside of your elbow, like right there. And preemptively, okay, upon watching this video, let's say you don't arm wrestle yet, or you plan on it, or you just started and you don't feel it yet. I'm telling you right now, add JM presses of any kind. Okay, it could be Smith machine. It could be body weight like I do. I've made videos on this already. Body weight JM presses. It could be with an easy curl bar. It could be with a regular bar, a barbell. Do JM presses. Your elbows will thank you later, and you will not go through the same thing that I did, where I didn't really know what to do about my elbows. And I essentially they hurt really bad. So you're going to want to do jam presses, okay? And anything that really extends the elbow like that, forearm touching the bicep, anything like that. It could even be a push down if you make it kind of like a jam press and you push straight through your elbow. Condition those elbows. Sorry, I keep coughing, Air quality in Michigan is really bad right now. But basically, you're going to really want to condition those elbows, okay? So think of it as a long game. You're not going to become great at arm wrestling right away. It is a tendon intensive kind of sport. So, you want to build the foundation and then keep improving upon it over time, and eventually you'll be great. That's how I see arm wrestling, because most of the people that are great at arm wrestling right now, they've been doing it for many, many years, and their bones have thickened. Their tendons are probably like steel wire, you know what I'm saying? So I'm giving you like the fundamentals on it, and then eventually you add more advanced things. Like, other people might tell you immediately start working, your pronation, your cupping, your rising, all this different stuff, supination. But for me, for a beginner, I don't think you should be doing any of that stuff yet. In my opinion, you should solely focus on that base strength. If you can add those different things, like over time, that's great. But I wouldn't want to overwhelm you with exercises and stuff before you really start working on that base strength, right? So base strength is going to be key. Okay, the skinny guy versus the big guy, and they both don't know how to arm wrestle, the big guy's always going to win. Now let's say a skinny guy knows technique and he goes against a big guy that knows nothing. Chances are skinny guy's going to win, right? But let's say the big guy has that strength behind him, right? He doesn't just have hypertrophy muscles. Well, it doesn't matter how much technique this skinny guy knows, because this big guy's going to beat him anyway. So the thing about it is, you have to have the strength in the right places, but also know that if someone's just stronger than you, it doesn't matter how much technique you use. Okay, if they're just stronger than you, they are going to beat you all day, every day, and that's why you need base strength. And it's mostly relative strength. That's why I also like doing the calisthenics, because calisthenics are also relative strength, and things like that will definitely, like if you can already do a lot of pull-ups, like good pull-ups, like full range of motion pull-ups, most likely you're good at arm wrestling already if you figure out how to use that strength. So next tip I'm going to say, find a friend that really likes arm wrestling. If you can't find a friend, make a friend. I know that's like the same thing, but really like get out of your comfort zone and just start making friends with people. Eventually somebody will want to, arm wrestle with you, or even just go to the gym and go up to somebody and be like, listen, sorry to interrupt your set, or don't interrupt them, but like wait till they're done set and be like, excuse me, I would like to arm wrestle you, I thought you were looking pretty jacked, and it's just for fun. And, they might say yes or no. Learn to accept that people aren't going to want to arm wrestle, because some people, like, I don't know, they're feeling very insecure and they don't really want to lose, and they would feel embarrassed if they lose or lost. So I don't want you to be in a situation where you think that, you'll never meet somebody to arm wrestle, because you will. Trust me, I used to feel like that. I used to ask all these people would say no, but nowadays it's all good. But yeah, so also, a lot of people say get with a club, but as a beginner, I would say it is a good idea, but it's also, in a way, it can't be, because when you're a beginner, people are going to be trying to give you all this different information, and it's going to be really overwhelming. People used to do that to me when I very first started. They overwhelmed me with too much information, and a lot of it was wrong, like just straight up wrong information. And I understand, like, they weren't like trying to mislead me. It's what they believed to be true, but it was just wrong. And you find out after why this method's better than this method. And the point is, what you have the most fun doing is what I want you to be able to do. So let's say you're caught and you don't know which technique you want to use. You don't know if you want to go more inside arm wrestling, more outside arm wrestling. You're unsure, right? Keep trying them until one just feels more fun, and whichever one you decide to do, okay? The point of life is to find things that you enjoy and to have fun. I don't want you to go into arm wrestling only thinking, yeah, I have to do this if I want to win. I have to only top rope people, or I have to. You can win using any technique. You just have to get good at it, and you have to get the muscles strong enough that will work with that technique, right? So find the technique that suits you the most. And who cares about short arm, long arm, all this stuff? Of course, different leverages have advantages in certain positions, right? But if you don't have any fun doing it, you're not going to want to continue arm wrestling. And the whole point is to have a good time. I mean, arm wrestling, used to just be a thing that people would do at bars and stuff like that. And just like, oh, let's arm wrestle, put her there, or whatever. It's just having a good time. So think about it that way. And I think that'll really help. But beyond everything I've already said, I believe that arm wrestling, don't get too overwhelmed with information, especially not from one person. Take information from everywhere that you possibly can when it comes to, I believe you should do this with everything in life, but if you're only listening to the arm wrestling side of things, take information from everyone and find out what's right and what's wrong based on your own intentions of what you're trying to do with the sport. So if somebody's telling you, well, you should only do this because you have this size arm, and you should only do what you want to do, but soak in all the good knowledge and sift through what you don't think is right based on how you feel about what you want to do. You know what I mean? So people will, they'll try to give you tips, and obviously be respectful, accept the knowledge, but that doesn't mean that you have to do what they're saying. So don't feel too overwhelmed, because I know a lot of people are trying to be helpful, but they might come off as kind of pushy. So do not let that happen to you. Just do what you want to do. Okay, that's going to be probably the main thing. Besides, obviously, keeping your joints and everything healthy. Some people say like taking fish oil and stuff like that helps. Me personally, I don't. I used to take that kind of stuff like fish oil, creatine, but then the creatine started giving me some bowel problems. So I stay away from that stuff now. I don't use any supplements personally, but it is what it is if you want to use that or not. But with that all being said, I believe that I hope this video helped you, okay? I hope that EM Productions, I hope this especially helped you. Tried to give it my all. I literally just got out of the shower, and I was like, all right, let's make the video right now. And yeah, one take. It's pretty tough to say all that in one take and just do it just like that. But yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something from it. And with all that being said, yeah, that's how I record right there. But I want you to like, if you like the video, comment, subscribe. Those 2 words I say at the end of every single video. Stay jacked. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.